Peace and love, family, and welcome back to another Sunday Hope and Healing session. I'm Royce Fletcher Thomas, and we are here Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time to bring things to share, some insights with you, sharing things that will encourage you on your life's journey, and actually offering healing to remove blockages, stagnations, areas of stagnation in your life as we together endeavor to enter into a sustainable state of supreme satisfaction. So, as always, it's good to be here with you from my heart to yours. I'm sending a bunch of love out in your direction. And my prayer is that it's reaching you in whatever way that you need it to show up for you in your life today. And so last week, we dealt with how to transform a world of darkness into a world of light, love, and peace. And today, there was a lot that was connected with that. There was a lot that was connected with that, and we didn't actually get to the healing aspect. I mainly talked. I encourage you, if you did not check out last week's Sunday Hope and Healing session, please check that out. We have been dealing with a lot of darkness in this world, showing up in a lot of ways that are endeavoring to suppress the well-being of humanity, to suppress. Oh, I forgot to actually put my mic on. I set the mic up forever ago and forgot to actually put it on me today. So hopefully you can hear me well. Hopefully you did not hear it a lot when I was moving the mic. But anyway, we did a lot of talking as it related to the darkness that exists in the world and how to transform a dark world into a place of love and light and peace. We didn't, however, to get to any of the healing for that yesterday. And so for today, we're actually going to get into the healing. I'm not going to do as much talking today. We did, in terms of conceptually, we did plenty of that last week. And today we're going to do a little more focusing on the actual healing. And we do that through a methodology referred to as Transcending the Matrix, which is a holistic based approach to healing that addresses every area of a person's beingness. It's based on the reality that everything that God made is good. If it isn't good, then God didn't make it. And if God didn't make it, it isn't real. It's based on the reality that the only thing that is really real is that which comes from love and that which are genuine expressions of love. And anything else is row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. And in some cases, people might experience it not as the most pleasant dream, but might have some hellacious, nightmarish types of experiences along the way. But the reality is that life was divinely designed to be fully lived out in a way where love and peace and joy are maximized. That isn't the way that we often experience it, unfortunately. But that was the divine design according to which God created all of this. Curly Conscious King, as always, my brother, it's good to see you in the space. Good to have you here, and abundant blessings to you as well on this Sunday. And so I'd just like to kind of check in with you all. I want to ask you all, because the reason that I ended up doing this last week and while I'm doing the follow-up this week is from a lot of conversations I've had with different people and even things that I've observed myself. But from a lot of conversations, a lot of people are seeing what just really appears to be the world moving backwards. Do you know that literally the word evil is lived backwards? And so a lot of us are seeing what definitely appears as a lot of evil almost being given a pass to run rampant, right? What are some of the ways, I'm curious to hear from you all, what are some of the ways that you're seeing that manifest, or some of the concerns that you've been having about the direction that the world has been moving in? And we're going to address these things in today's Sunday Hope and Healing session with the actual healing component. And so, again, I'm happy to hear from you all on that. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Okay. All right. So again, I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking about it. We're going to be about it today. Okay. And so I know that not everybody is necessarily in the mindset of it even being possible to transform the world. Some people just think that it is what it is and might feel a little helpless and might feel a little victimized. But this is not true. This is not true. The truth of the matter is, as the scriptures tells us, that we've been given power over all the power of the enemy. And the enemy is not another person. The enemy is not a man. The enemy is not a woman. It's not a group of people. The enemy is the ugliness and the darkness and the evil, or the ways that all of us live backwards. We see that more pronounced in some people than in others. We see it pronounced in people who are in positions of what we would consider having a lot of power. I would say a lot of force, according to Dr. David Hawkins' landmark work, Power versus Force. If you haven't read that book, I strongly encourage you to check it out. Power versus Force by Dr. David R. Hawkins. Really valuable piece of work. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the healing for today. And so to do this, we're going to I mentioned earlier, I'm going to bookmark that. I mentioned earlier that not everybody believes it's possible to transform this world of apparent darkness. But there are some who are. There are some who have come to this planet and are here on this planet at this time and space called now, to be a light shining in the midst of what appears like darkness. There are those of us who've come to this planet to be light workers, to work in the light, to challenge the dark aspects and reveal the presence of the light. Once upon a time, many years ago, I shared in a sermon that the purpose of human life is to descend into the darkness and to reveal the presence of God's light, right? And I do believe that this is a purpose that many of us came here to fulfill. That's our soul's purpose in coming to this planet at this time. There are those of us who are light workers. There are those of us who are star seeds. There are those of us who are healers and teachers. And there are those of us who are brave souls who've come to this planet, this particular planet, to be bearers of light, to be bestowers and carriers of love, to be peacemakers, for blessed are the peacemakers. It doesn't say blessed are the peacekeepers, but the peacemakers, right? Anyway, let's go ahead and start. We're going to start with a prayer, and then we'll go ahead and get into the healing. Again, much love to everybody who's here with us today. I really appreciate you being here and lending yourself to the healing that's available, lending yourself to this work. You know, it's so easy to get caught up in the news and all of the negativity. It takes a significant degree of intentionality to be able to see past all of the chaos and confusion, to be able to see through the darkness, and to be able to pierce it with the light. All right. So kudos to you. Blessings upon you. Mother, Father, everything, God. I know you to be a healer. And I know that it is only in the limited perspective that we have, viewing life through the lenses and the filters of the matrix, that we see life and everything in it, that we see the world and everything in it. And God, I know you to be a healer who is more than capable of transforming any and every situation, no matter how dark it might seem or no matter how bleak it might appear. And I thank you for this wonderful privilege of being able to be a vessel of and a demonstrator of you as a healer on behalf of the planet Earth herself and all of those who are tapped in, tuned in to this healing, whether in a live broadcast or in a replay. Thank you, God, for healing from the point of the root cause in the entire energetic structure of every strand of DNA and every cell of each of us, and relative to the true reality of these are Earth's existence, and transmuting the darkness and the evil that is seeking to run rampant on this precious planet, Mother Earth, and transforming it into a place of love, a place of light, a place of peace, and a place wherein is manifested a golden age. And I bear witness to our wholeness and the wholeness of this common mother of us all, Mother Earth. On this date and in this time and space called now. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And Hashem Yeshua HaMashiach for this gift of your divine love. And I affirm it is done. It is done. It is done. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this healing. If you feel so guided to share this with others, please do so. There is a collective aspect to consciousness. The more certain things and thought forms and ideas are spread, the more impactful it becomes. And there are those who are not doing good things. There are those who are fear-mongering, who are spreading fear. And they have media and all other sorts of things behind them. They have industries, large industries behind them to help spread fear and negativity. But let's spread the love. Let's spread the light. Let's spread the healing. Because I really do truly believe that the more of us are healed, the more whole more of us are, the better it is for all of us. Better it is for all of us, beloved. So let's go ahead and get into some of this healing via the methodology of transcending the matrix. All right. And so let's look at the collective consciousness of humanity. We're going to purify the collective consciousness of humanity through the power of pure love, through the power of God's pure love and divine light. And we're going to go back to the beginning of humankind, purifying the consciousness of humanity back to the beginning of humankind on this planet. And the susceptibility to buy into and to get caught up in the matrix of illusion. I'm going to purify that through the power of pure love. When I say the matrix of illusion, what is it that I'm talking about? I'm talking about the matrix third dimensional beliefs of separation and limitation, both of which keep us locked into a vibration of fear. They keep us locked into a vibration of fear in terms of overstimulation of the amygdala, where we end up releasing all of these stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, and end up putting the body in a state of perpetual or chronic inflammation, which is physically bad for the body. It's bad for the mind. It keeps us in a fear-based state, but it's also that we're in this self-fulfilling cycle of fear because we're caught up in and contributing to the fear or the false evidence that appears real, which keeps us locked into fearful states of being that then regulate our thought processes and our behaviors. And so we end up engaging in fear-based behaviors and decisions based on the fear-based thoughts that we've had. And these exist within the collective consciousness of humanity. So again, we want to purify those through the power of pure love. And I'm going to ask you to join with me in being able to maintain a vision of this pure love and divine light, reaching the consciousness of all people on the face of the globe, all 8 billion people currently on the planet. And then going back in time, going back through time, through each of our respective ancestral lines, back to the beginning. And we affirm, let there be light. And we affirm again, there is light. And just as we're going back in time, may we also in consciousness go forward in time to all future generations that shall live upon this rotating sphere that we call the earth. And let us maintain a vision in our mind's eye. And if we can't maintain a vision in our mind's eye, if that's difficult, let us hold a vibrational frequency of love in our heart, love for future generations that holds just a fondness and loving intentions and vibrations for this love and this light to be able to manifest and flow through the generations that come behind us. Where love is truly reigning in the hearts of all people everywhere. And just even as we're dealing with this concept, I want to address the internal conflict that we might be having within ourselves about believing whether or not that's possible. So we want to transform that belief of impossibility, that perhaps deeply held subconscious belief of its impossibility. We want to purify that through the power of God's pure love, inviting the revelatory power of God's pure love and divine light to the aspects of consciousness within our own mind that believe it's impossible, and to transform that belief of impossible to the possibility that with God all things are possible. Just becoming open to the possibility that with God all things are possible. All right, there collectively are a lot of doubts about that, because that's coming up as a really big weakness that's really requiring some attention. So let's address that now. Let's address the times where we have lifted up prayers and held intentions for things to work out in a certain way, and things didn't work out in the way that we wanted for them to, or in the way that we visualized for them to, or in the way that we prayed for them to. Perhaps the loved one still died. Perhaps the relationship didn't work out the way that we thought that we wanted it to. Perhaps there wasn't a cure for the illness. Okay. Perhaps we didn't get the job, whatever the situation might be, that has us having maybe some deeply held subconscious resentment towards God, because we either believe that God is inept or God isn't all loving. Okay, so let's address this idea that God is inept. We want to purify that through the power of pure love, restoring our consciousness to a position of wholeness, and also addressing that there are aspects that we are perhaps not seeing clearly, that we're not seeing the whole picture. We sometimes get upset with the situation that unfolds because we think we know best. We subconsciously believe that we know it all, and we know how things should, in our minds, how things should unfold. We have some preconceived ideas about what is best. We're only operating with about 10% of our brain capacity, and there are an infinite number of things that we're not seeing. We just see how we want things to go based on the inner workings of our own ego, the part of us that wants to edge God out. And all of us have a part of us that wants to edge God out. So let's transmute and purify that through the power of pure love. We'll have a part of us that is endeavoring to edge God out, that has stake vested in us being held in a sense of separate self. Okay, so let's address that part of us that's afraid of death, of the sense of separate self. We're going to purify that through the power of pure love and create within us a sense of divine rebirth, being truly born again to a whole new reality that allows us to be able to see ourselves as one with all of life. Okay, and I know we're getting into some somewhat deep waters here, some kind of deep stuff here. But the only reason any of us is ever walking around pissed off is because we're wrapped up in some ego-based stuff that we haven't learned how to deal with. And the nature of the ego is that it's always going to have us moving in a direction that leads us away from real truth. And there might be some facts of situations that we'll harp on that will have us justified for feeling angry or resentful or bitter or vengeful towards our brother or sister in creation, when in reality, what it is that we've got some unresolved stuff going within ourselves, where we're withholding love for ourselves, and we're disguising that as withholding love from other people, made manifest in the form of the judgments that we hold about them, seeing them as guilty in some way. And there are some folks where it's real easy to see them that way. There are some people who are in our own personal lives, and there's certainly some people who are in positions of high power that run the systems of this world, that it's easy to see as something other than an innocent child of God. Not everybody is going to be drawn to this, but if you are here, then you are one of the spiritually mature souls who has decided to take to heart the inner work that is required for us to truly enter into this sustainable state of supreme satisfaction, who's truly on a soul ascension journey, intentionally on a soul ascension journey. And maybe you just came here today because you think that the world is crazy and you want to do something, hopefully to be able to do something to help transform it into a better place. If that's the case, I commend you for that. Whatever your reason is for being here, I'm glad that you're here. So let's look at the collective consciousness of our combined egos. We're going to purify that through the power of pure love. And we're going to, in its place, put focus on the collective consciousness of the presence of God dwelling in each of us. We're going to purify that through the power of pure love, raising that in our awareness. A couple of Sundays ago, maybe 3 weeks ago or so, was Easter Sunday or Resurrection Sunday. And the concept is the Christ still buried in you, or is Christ resurrected in you? Let us all dwell in a state where the presence of God residing in us is no longer buried within us, but has risen up, and is who's truly running the show instead of our ego. You see, we really basically have, in all of life, we really only have one decision. And the decision shows up in an infinitesimal, or excuse me, not infinitesimal, but in an infinite number of ways. And that decision is, who are we allowing to run the show in any moment? Are we allowing our ego to run the show? The part of us that is endeavoring to edge God out, are we allowing that to run the show? More times than not, unfortunately for many of us, the answer is yes. Or are we letting the Christ run the show? Are we letting the presence of God inside of us, our truest self, the part of us that is made in the image and likeness of God, are we allowing that to run the show? And though there are times where the answer may be no, forgive yourself for that. Strengthen us all to be able to forgive ourselves for the time where we did not choose to let the Spirit of God operating within us run the show. You see, who we are as human beings housed in hue, that have coloring that you can see, no matter how light or how dark that coloring may be. A human being is a being with hue, a being wearing a physical costume that you can behold visually and physically, right? But that's not the essence of who we are. The essence of who we really are, beloved, is spirit. The essence of who we really are is spirit. The essence. It's easier for me to say that than it is for me to say the next statement I'm going to make. The essence of Donald Trump is spirit. On the level of personality, I don't particularly care for the dude. I don't particularly like decisions he's making. But his essence is spirit. Whoever it is that you love, whoever it is that you can't stand, their essence is spirit. And what your job is, and what my job is, as spiritual beings, is to be able to clear the matrix from our own eyes and from our own mind, to be able to see through the eyes of innocence, and to see the truth of who each soul actually is, independent of what their outward behavior might be. And that doesn't mean that we have to extend to them an invitation to the cookout. It doesn't mean that we have to give them front stage, a front row pass to our lives, because boundaries are important and necessary also. But it is simultaneously important for us to hold a generous space in our hearts, because we have actually had cleared from our eyes the matrix of illusion, or as Jesus put it, the speck of dust in our eye that keeps us from being able to see clearly our fellow brother or sister in creation. And so our goal is to get to a point where our spiritual vision has been transformed and clarified to such an extent that all we see is light, that all we see is love, that all we see is peace, where we truly get to a point where we hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, because we're operating from a place of pure love and divine light, not from a standpoint of negative denial, but from a space of positive denial, not from a space of what is going on in the world isn't actually going on in the world, but from a space that recognizes that all of the stuff that's going on in the world is going on in the world. And yet, beyond this level of appearances, I know there's something greater, that all things are working together for our good, and that there is no weapon that's formed against us that will prosper, that we, no matter how deep the situation might seem, no matter how dark things might look, that to God, the darkness and the light are both the same. And therefore, because we're seeing through divine eyes rather than through matrix filtered eyes, that it's all light endeavoring to express itself in different ways. Oh boy, the preacher in me is really wanting to jump out right now. The healer in me is going to still keep going. Be notified, however, that a preacher might occasionally jump out during the Sunday open healing session today. All right, and so let's actually address the part of us that benefits. The part of us that actually benefits from a world shrouded in darkness, or a world that we perceive as being shrouded in darkness. So we're going to purify that with the power of pure love. And actually helping us to feel safe to let go of those benefits. Strengthen us to be able to feel safe letting go of those benefits. There's benefit in seeing the world as a dark place. Where are some of the benefits? We get to play the victim. Purify that through the power of pure love. Strengthen us to feel safe in letting go of our victim mentality. We can't feel like a victim if no one is doing us harm. We don't get to be both. We don't get to be both a victim and free. Which one do we choose more? Let's strengthen us to choose freedom, and to feel safe to choose freedom, and to feel secure choosing freedom, and to be able to subdue our own chemical addiction to fear-based thought processes. Let's purify that through the power of pure love, inviting God's pure love and divine light into the areas of consciousness and those secret chambers hidden within the deepest recesses of our soul, where we've tucked certain things away. Let's purify that through the power of God's pure love. Okay. Whew. There's a lot of deep stuff going on with this, folks. Some really deep level healing that we're endeavoring in today. All right. And so let's actually address those unresolved traumas from pre-birth, where we were yet in the womb, which appeared to us as a dark place. And we felt safe in that dark place. And then when we were born into the world where all these lights, probably fluorescent lights, where there was all this light, it seemed like utter chaos. And so let's look at deeply held subconscious belief systems about the dark being safe from when we were yet in vitro, to the light being dangerous from the birth trauma that occurred when we were born. We're born into this chaotic atmosphere where there was a lot going on. Our mother was in pain. There was all of this bright light. Our eyes had to be able to adapt to that. There was a lot of confusion that was going on in the moment. And then we ended up almost immediately upon coming out being spanked to ensure that we cried. Okay. My goodness. What a truly backwards way to come into the world, where it's like we're being punished, where we're put in a situation where the light we associate with bad or pain or chaos or something that's not good or something that's undesirable. Okay. Whereas where we were in the dark space of the womb, we were protected, even though there might have been certain fetal trauma that we may have experienced, given that we heard everything that our mothers heard, and we took in the things that she took in, including painful experiences that she might have had. It was still a relatively safe space. I believe that for all of us, the first time that we cried was after we were born, and probably immediately upon being born, where there was all of this light. And so let's address that deeply held subconscious belief system that the dark is safer than the light. We want to purify that through the power of pure love and flip that upside down to, no, we don't want to flip that upside down. We want to actually put it side by side to where we're neutral, where we feel safe in the dark and we feel safe in the light. As the scripture says, when in a truly expanded consciousness, the dark isn't anything to be afraid of, nor the light, right? Okay. And so wherever you are, if you're in the presence of God, you're in safe space. Heaven, by definition, is the home of God. Where is there that God isn't? The only place that God isn't showing up is in our own thought processes when we're thinking that God isn't there. Okay. All right. Am I speaking to anybody today? So let's actually strengthen us to be able to be neutral to the dark, to be neutral to the light, and to be strong in the presence of both of them, so that we're actually no longer negatively impacted by other people's projections of the darkness, and we're no longer afraid of the light and are able to move joyfully and powerfully in the light as an expression of the light, and where that becomes actually our prime objective, consciously and subconsciously. Already is super consciously. Okay. All right. Some deep stuff happening here today, people. All right. Again, I really want to acknowledge you for being here today, for showing up as the light. All right. And so let's actually address within us the tendency to be drawn to chaos and confusion, or to feel more familiar with chaos and confusion, and replace that with feeling more familiar with light and love and peace. We tend to gravitate towards what's familiar to us. We're largely creatures of habit. And so we sometimes feel safer being in what we feel more used to until we learn to become used to another thing. That's the way that comfort zones work, right? We have those things which are inside of our comfort zone. They're inside of our comfort zone because they feel familiar to us until we step outside of our comfort zone, outside of what is familiar to us or what feels comfortable to us. And then once we step outside of our comfort zone, we then have the opportunity to have our comfort zone expand. So let's actually expand our comfort zone to feel comfortable with seeing the world as a place that is full of love and light and peace. Probably not going to immediately come natural for a lot of us because we get used to seeing it as something else. Right? Okay, now let's actually strengthen us to be able to tap into our truest essence. To be able to truly tap into our truest essence and to have our truest essence make its way to the surface in a way that actually works for us, in the way that we can actually feel peace with it happening. You know, sometimes we can be afraid of having our reality stirred up or having our reality shaken. Okay. But let's actually allow for revelation to occur in a way where trauma isn't required for it to happen, where we just see things differently, see things from a more elevated, more expanded standpoint in terms of the world and our place in it. Let's address specifically in terms of our place in the world. All right, let's address this idea of feeling overwhelmed. Purify that through the power of pure love. Feeling overwhelmed by the call to be a beacon of light. So we want to completely transmute and transform that feeling of overwhelm into feeling at complete peace and feeling well able for the task ahead, not based on ego identification, but based on identification with the divine as what's actually doing the work. Okay. It's not the ego that can actually accomplish this. Okay. But the presence of God operating in, through, and expressed as you can. Okay. So I want to boost that up, strengthen that. Okay. Strengthen us being able to identify who we are as our essence, and to be able to transform our thought processes. Our thought processes to be able to see wholeness. To be able to see wholeness. All right. Okay. All right. And now I want to take a moment and I want to look at the areas where we doubt or question how much as individuals we can make a difference. So I want to totally transform, purify that through the power of God's pure love and divine light. To be able to see ourselves as being I'll say superhuman in this context. Okay. Being superhuman, connected with other superhumans, and connected with very, very powerful beings of light that exist in the invisible realms. To know that you're never working alone, that there is a great cloud of witnesses that are at work. and that even the ideas that we have, we didn't get them alone. And let's even introduce into our awareness the idea of almost seeing life on planet Earth as a game, like a video game, where you're just going from one level to the next level, and you can't get to the next level until you master the current level. All right. So to be able to actually see ourselves mastering whatever level that we're on in this Earth experience. Some refer to Earth as a school. I'll put it in the context of a game, right? When we put it in the context of a game you usually think of as something fun, right? You play a game because you enjoy it. And so let's lighten the weight of it all by putting it in the context of a game where we're just endeavoring to make it to the next level. Okay. And that we have whatever tools it is that we need to be able to succeed on the level that we're on. Okay. When we truly master this thing, there's no need for us to come to Earth anymore. Shout out to Rick Powell, who wrote a song that says, "What if we're all just fallen angels and the only way to make it to the next level is to love?" All right, so let's actually strengthen us all to master this game called living as a human on planet Earth, and to realize that the objective of the game is to see it all as light, to see the totality of Earth's history as light. All right. And so let's deal with that history. Okay. We have a history, and we believe these things that have happened in the past are real. A Course in Miracles says that nothing that has happened in the past is real, that we are actually only existing in the holy moment of now, and that we actually take the things that happened in the so-called past and use those things to project a fear-based state into our future and to give us justification for not dwelling as highly evolved spiritual beings in the present, right? Okay, so and this isn't stated as a judgment. This is just stated as this is what this actually is that's going on right now. Okay. And so as we allow ourselves to awaken to the truth of everything that has ever been put in our path has been benevolently placed before us as an opportunity to be who it is that we truly are, and to prove to ourselves that we truly are pure love and divine light, that we are manifestations of God in the earth realm. And that the way that we prove that God is present is that we prove to ourselves that in every moment, in every place where we are, every situation where we find ourselves, that we are bringing God to that space, that we are bringing the essence of God to that space and showing up as that pure love and divine light. Ooh, boy. Okay. All right. Let's strengthen us to actually be able to strengthen us to be able to actually elevate our powers of mind to consciously connect with the mind of others. Now, we think that we're mind readers a lot of times on the ego level, and we think that we know what other people are thinking, and we develop judgments about other people based upon what we think that they're thinking. and what we think other people's intentions are. But let's actually swap that out with a more elevated approach, and that is actually linking our minds up with those that are divinely aligned, purposefully and intentionally, and linking our hearts and our minds up with those who have actually already ascended beyond this space of fear and illusion. And those who never got caught up in it in the first place, those beings of light who never got caught up in the illusion, linking our minds with their minds and allowing our minds to be receptive vesicles for being impregnated with divine thoughts, and then actively living those divine thoughts out in the living of life during our time on planet Earth. Strengthen us all for that. All right, now let's address some spiritual arrogance. Okay, want to transmute and transform that spiritual arrogance that is really just kind of a trick of the ego. And we want to place that with the divine humility. True confidence is a confident humility or humble confidence, because true confidence knows that nothing is impossible and knows at the same time it ain't all about you. True confidence knows that with God all things are possible. True confidence knows that because of the essence of God dwelling in, through, and as you, you can do all things. Because it's that which strengthens you. Right? All right, let's boost us all for that. Okay. Oh, it's 1:54. It's almost time to close this out for today. I want to do a couple more corrections, and then we'll close this session out for today. All right. So let's actually strengthen our visioning powers. Our visioning powers to be able to vision people in positions of high leadership, people who are focused in love and light, operating in positions of high leadership in the earth realm. This purify our visioning, strengthen our visioning power to be able to see that. A lot of times we envision what it is that we are afraid of. We're afraid that something's going to happen, and that's where we kind of put our mind, where we put our thoughts. And energy follows consciousness. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. The things that we're thinking about and that we're feeling about are the things that we end up bringing about. Okay, and so let's actually clarify and purify our consciousness to delete that fear and replace it with hope and joy and a blessed assurance, okay, of the manifestation of the good unfolding, of the bounty of the blessings unfolding. All right. And to be able to see that being made manifest on a global scale. And even sacrificing and losing our ability to see anything other than that taking place. Let's purify that through the power of pure love. To be able to sacrifice our ability to be able to see things not working out in a way that is an expression of pure love and divine light being made manifest. That was a good one. Thank you, God. All right. God, it's by your love and your power that we get to experience the healing that we've been blessed to experience. Thank you once again for loving us enough to bring us into right relationship with the truth of who we really are, for allowing us to be able to return to our true self. Stated differently, allowing ourselves to be able to return to God. Thank you for the healing of this planet, the transformation of this planet, and blessing us to be able to behold it to some greater degree as being a place of light and of love and of peace. Thank you for strengthening us and empowering us to collectively enter into the sustainable state of supreme satisfaction. We affirm it is done. It is done. It is done. God bless you, beloved. It's been my honor to be with you again today, as it always is. If you are interested at all in being an expression of love and light on this planet, more power to you in doing so. A couple thousand years ago, the Master Jesus said that the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. May we increase in numbers as we endeavor to each touch somebody else's life in a way that brings more healing into their life, because we've allowed more healing to come into our lives. I believe that transcending the matrix is a very powerful way that can happen, in a very powerful way in which it has happened, certainly in my own life and in the lives of those I've been blessed to touch. Curly Conscious King, many blessings to you as always, brother. It's my pleasure. We've got a Transcending the Matrix Level 1 training coming up the last weekend of June. That's June 27th, 28th, and 29th. It's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you're at all interested in that, be sure to let me know. You can comment after this has gone live. Once it's no longer live, you can comment on the playback and I'll be able to see that comment. If you comment live, I won't see it after we close this. Also, whereas Facebook had sent a notification that live videos would be deleted after, that were more than 4 weeks old, would be deleted after July 4th. I just got a notification a couple days ago that a video from April was about to be deleted. So they've already started doing that prematurely. So whereas the Sunday Hope and Healing sessions will stay on indefinitely on YouTube, they'll only be there for 4 weeks on Facebook. So just wanted to let you know about that. If you're not already subscribed to the Matrix Healing YouTube page, please do so. And if there is a specific area of healing that you'd like me to address, either for the collective or even for you personally, I encourage you to drop me a note and let me know. You can reach me via Messenger on Facebook at Royce Fletcher Thomason, or on Instagram at Royce Fletcher Thomason, or on Instagram at Transcending the Matrix. Also, feel free to join the Transcending the Matrix Facebook group. Anyway, that closes us out for today. And so as we continue to endeavor to enter into that sustainable state of supreme satisfaction, until we meet again next week, I bid you adieu, sending a bunch of love in your direction, as always, with peace and love. And I'll catch you next time.